This is Lopez Gaming, and today I want to talk about leaks in the game industry. This isn't a typical video that I do, but considering the circumstances, I believe it's something that needs to be taken in a semi-serious manner. Before I move on, this must be said for legal reasons. I will not show or discuss anything specific about what contents are being leaked that haven't been officially announced in any capacity. I'll only have gameplay that's currently playable to the public in the background as a visual because I can't be bothered to turn on my camera. Also, this is the first time I've written for a fully scripted video since my 1-year retrospective on Genshin Impact, so I might sound a little rusty. With that out of the way, let's begin. It goes without saying that leaks and industry insider information aren't a new concept, not just in the game industry, but everywhere. Leaked documents, unannounced films, potential rulings, the list goes on. In some cases, leaks are important in the information age. The Watergate scandal, for example, helped many Americans be informed about what is going on in their government via news organizations and leaks from then anonymous sources. As the news rolled in about Nixon and other government officials, public perception was shifted. It may not mean much now, but back then, it was a huge gamble when it comes to trusting anonymous sources. Nowadays, most computer literate people can simply search for information on the internet, but it wasn't that easy back then. You'd have to look up phone numbers on yellow books and search for reference material in libraries and cross-reference all that information to see if what these anonymous sources are providing is legitimate. One could make the argument that the Watergate scandal was the moment in history where public trust with their government was put to the test in heights not seen before. Had it not been for leaks in the United States during the Watergate scandal, who knows what could have happened to democracy at that time. That goes without saying, moving on. In the entertainment industry, it's less about what should be important for the public to know, and more of what the public should or shouldn't be excited about. For video game rumors, it always crops up several days, sometimes weeks before a big event like E3. I can't even begin to count how many times I've heard of a potential Banjo-Kazooie revival. For as long as I can remember, most of the leaks provided by users on the internet are not usually true. Case in point, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is notorious for rumors. Remember that Grinch leak from 2018? There were people out there that believed that the leak was real, only to find out months later that it was fake all along. I swear, every time I hear about Smash characters leaking on the internet, I'm reminded about roster leaks in other fighting games, more notably Capcom fighters. From Marvel Infinite to as recent as Street Fighter 6, leaks can either make or break a game. I vividly remember fans' immeasurable disappointment when it turns out that characters most fans, Capcom and Marvel alike, wanted are absent. Of course, it's not the only element that was wrong with Marvel Infinite, but this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, how does one have a Marvel vs. Capcom game without the X-Men, characters who are part of the series since Children of the Atom in 1994? Who realistically asked for returning characters like Hawkeye and Spencer? As for Street Fighter 6, I won't comment on specifics because as of recording this video, a majority of what's leaked was not officially announced. That said, the tone from those who read the leaks seem to be taking it positively. It's a complete 180 compared to the MBCI roster, and those who are already sold on the game's official announcement and other related content are vindicated. Genshin Impact's situation is different, wildly different from other full-price games on the market. What we have here is a free-to-play game where there's no real guarantee of getting new characters the moment they're released, 5-star or otherwise. Doubly so if players are free to play. And truth be told, I understand their position. When I had my free to play account, I had to plan carefully about what characters I wanted. When Ayaka came around, I used up all of my resources to not only get her, but also her best in slot weapon. It was a good feeling to have when everything went according to plan. But not everyone is that lucky. They have to rely on a scarce resource on top of RNG that can either mean skipping out on characters or weapons. The only way for F2P players to have any chance of getting what they want is heavily relying on leaks to plan ahead. Compare that to my BP Welkin account I continue to play on since the game's launch week. I still rely on leaks to plan out what I want, but I use up my wishes more frequently because I can buy more battle passes and Welkin moves to get more primo gems. Sure, I skip down on a few banners here and there, but the spending habits for this account result in more 5-star characters, and in rare cases, they're constellations and best in slot weapons, sometimes by complete accident. As for whale accounts and major content creators, I mean, what can I say? They get everything regardless of who or what the character or weapon was leaked, so they can show off how much cash they burned, for better or worse. I'd even argue that they're just as bad as the developers for the current state of gaming, but that's a topic for another time. While it's not the first game with this particular situation, Genshin Impact's leaks since launch created this behavioral tendency to rely on leaks because of the scheduling of Hoyo vs. official announcements, which tend to be weeks apart at best. To me, this wouldn't be a problem had Hoyoverse created a proper roadmap. Come to think of it, in an era where roadmaps and live service games are spreading like the common cold, I'm shocked that Genshin Impact doesn't have one. One could make the argument that we already had a roadmap. It was one of the first videos Hoyoverse put out, days before the official launch of Genshin Impact. I suppose it technically counts as one, but what I'm referring to is a roadmap that details what's coming in a given year. Besides, the video only provides information that's too general to be of any use to anyone. I have a small solution. Let's pretend that Hoyoverse is airing their version 2.0 stream. The developers are talking about their normal content details, such as the introduction of Inazuma, who's going to be playable, what sorts of quality of life improvements are featured, etc. Towards the end of the stream, they hit you with this image. A roadmap of content that features a number of playable characters, areas to explore, events to partake in, story quests to look forward to, and a bunch of quality of life improvements coming to the different patches. The contents of this infographic may be subject to change, but it's a general idea of what to expect. Therefore, free-to-play players wouldn't have to rely on leakers when the roadmap gives a good idea on what to expect. But Mr. Arpez Gaming, what you're suggesting is something that is tentative at best. There's no way for Hoyoverse to throw all of their characters for the year in that roadmap when they're not ready to show. Why did I give him a New Yorker accent? Listen, they planned Genshin Impact to last for at least 7 years thanks to the video I mentioned earlier. They don't have to show a 3D model of upcoming characters, but maybe a 2D render or even a silhouette. I don't believe it's asking too much to provide transparency on what's coming up in the pipeline, especially for a game that's more popular than other gacha games. There have been some theories circulating around the internet saying that perhaps Hoyoverse leaked their own content roadmap in order to get some buzz going. To that I say, no, stupid, that's not how it works. If this was a full-priced game, maybe this theory holds some water, but all of Hoyoverse's revenue in Genshin Impact come from gacha pulls. If someone were to disrupt that flow, let's say a leaker, financial compensation towards Hoyoverse would be the least of their problems. Hypothetically speaking, if Hoyoverse really wanted to intentionally leak their own game, they'd do it following some level of negative press or when the game is truly dying. And I'm talking Anthem levels of dying, and not, oh, I finished everything in the patch, game's dead. Take a look at Activision Blizzard's Diablo series. When Diablo Immortal was released, it garnered negative criticism due to its abhorrent business practices. Doesn't it seem convenient that over a week later, trailers for Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 were released? Almost as if Activision Blizzard wants to shift focus away from negative reception. This is what intention looks like. Given the method of how Genshin Impact's contents were leaked, this is far from intentional. But here's the scariest part of the whole ordeal. It's not the amount of content that was leaked, though it does feel like more coming on a daily basis. It's not the official response from Hoyoverse, but a lack of a response as of recording this video. The biggest leak this game has ever faced, and not a single word was uttered by the developer. When Street Fighter VI's contents were leaked, Capcom put out an official response stating, "We've all seen things we weren't supposed to see, but we're all in this together." Ending the response with, "We appreciate all the positive reactions. Thank you for the support." An acknowledgement of the events that transpired. As far as I'm aware, no legal action was taken against those who leaked the contents of Street Fighter VI, but I do get the feeling someone got fired behind closed doors for this. The last time Genshin Impact had a massive leak, Hoyoverse responded with what was touted as the Leaker Hunt Decree, where users on the internet who partook in leaking information to the public were either banned or sued. Now, Hoyoverse is silent about the matter. Best case scenario, they'll let it slide because they have more pressing matters at hand. Worst case scenario, they're preparing for massive legal action that's bigger than the Leaker Hunt Decree, and Hoyoverse will either be extremely selective on who gets to test their games from now on, or simply remove access to beta tests altogether. Maybe no more communication with the public, save for controlled drip marketing. Everything is internal. Is it possible that I'm exaggerating? Maybe. Is it outside the realm of possibility? Somehow I doubt it. I'd say assume the worst and pray that Hoyoverse is merciful. So comes the question some of you may have in mind. Should leaks happen, particularly in Genshin Impact? It's complicated. Under normal circumstances, I'd say no. The analogy of a ruined surprise birthday party has been tossed around often, so I don't have to fully explain why it's bad, other than the element of being surprised or hyped would be stolen away. On the other hand, this is a situation where leaks can prove to be beneficial for planning ahead for a game that lacks a real roadmap. I have my thoughts and opinions, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the sea of collective thoughts. Much like the journalists of old, all I can do is talk about what's going on and let the public decide what to do with this information. Now, of course, this is just a game, and you're more than welcome to continue playing it or not. Continue to pay for it, or stay free to play. It doesn't matter to me at the end of the day. All that matters is whatever you decide to do, It feels like the right thing to do. This has been Opez Gaming. If you like this style of videos, consider liking the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Until next time, take care of yourselves and have a good one.